Hi friends! I hope you're all doing well and, of course, taking care of yourselves. It's Lizzie here with a very special episode of the Trauma Matters podcast. As many of you know, this podcast has been a journey of exploring, understanding, and navigating the complexities of trauma in a way that's not so scary. It's been an honor to be a part of your lives and to share in these meaningful conversations, breaking the stigma revolved around trauma. But today, I have some exciting news to share. The Trauma Matters podcast is becoming Hope Champions podcast. As Trauma Matters Omaha and this podcast evolves, we embark on phase 2 of our mission to create a community of empathy, understanding, and healing. Hope Champions. Hope is the number one predictor of future well-being. It is a beacon that guides us towards health, happiness, and fulfillment. This remarkable quality is both tangible and teachable, reinforcing success in schools, workplaces, and life itself. Now that our community has over 30,000 people trained in being trauma-informed, we can now focus on how to move forward from trauma using hope. In this next phase, we aspire to infuse even more hope into our community and beyond by way of the Hope Champions podcast with your new hosts, Hailey, Scott, and John. In this season, we'll learn about the basics of hope science, how we can measure its success, and how we can begin to incorporate hope and healing into the communities we love. Before we dive into this new season, I want to express my deepest gratitude to all of you, our loyal listeners, guests, and everyone who has been a part of this incredible journey. Your support has been unforgettable, and it means the world to me. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our show, if you're continuing the journey with us through this transition. We want to encourage you to keep sharing your favorite episodes and takeaways with friends, family, and peers. Pick 3 people you think would benefit from our conversations on the podcast and share the show with them. This way, we will continue working together to end the stigma around trauma while encouraging hope and healing. Be sure to tune in to the next episode to meet your new hosts. Hailey, Scott, and John work at Project Harmony, where this podcast is housed here in Omaha, Nebraska. They each bring a unique lens to the conversation around healing trauma and look forward to bringing you the latest of all things related to hope. Thank you again so much for listening. This is Lizzie Hudson, signing off for the last time on the Trauma Matters podcast. Here's to new beginnings and a future full of hope. Be sure to take care of yourselves and catch Hailey, Scott, and John in the next episode.
Hey, Hailey here. Let's check out some of the voices you'll be hearing this season on Hope Champions podcast. Coming up over the next few weeks on this season of Hope Champions podcast, we are each going to sit down with a guest and deep dive into this topic of hope. I'm Hailey.
I'm John.
And I'm Scott.
And we are so excited to be here with you all.
The best way to build hope in yourself is to surround yourself with hopeful people.
Hope goes all the way back to why Boys Town was started. Boys Town was started in 1917 by Father Edward J. Flanagan, and he started a community, a village for boys that were homeless and didn't have any hope. And so he started an entire community, a town for boys where they could heal and find hope. And we continue that mission today, and that spirit of trying to promote hope in kids has sustained for over 100 years now.
So what happens if you don't meet the goal and maybe you feel a little bad about it, or you don't feel as hopeful about it? What happens with that?
Yeah, I think we then just re-goal and always knowing that's a piece about it. You know, I think that's probably a verb, a noun that we introduced a lot to individuals to say, okay, what does re-goaling look like? And how do we've all done it, but I don't think we talk about it enough. Or I don't think we help young people know that that's an option.
Yesterday I was chatting with some students at Benson High School, and we were talking about how hope sometimes is right beside us and we don't know it. And sometimes we have to get a little broken before we have the willingness and the capacity to embrace it.
Because you're not going to listen to this podcast and just say, you know what, Susie and John told me what my hope is or my
Right.
bright future is. No, that's not the case. Everybody's going to have a different future, and that's perfectly fine. Whatever your bright future is, whatever your future memory that you want to make, go ahead and make that.
Thank you for listening to the Trauma Matters podcast with Lizzie Hudson, now titled Hope Champions Podcast. To learn more about Hope Champions, visit www.projectharmony.com/Hope Champions. Listen, rate, and subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you like to listen. Keep up with the show and the rest of Project Harmony on social media. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Project Harmony, and on X at Project Harmony 2. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.